Hi, I hope you're well. Today, I want to chat about how to strengthen or build willpower. You might have noticed I've got a little chop. It's so short. I don't think I've actually had it this short since I was like 6 years old. It doesn't even touch, like, so weird. So I'm still trying to figure out what exactly to do with it. I don't know if you can even tell it's much shorter, but to me, it feels so short. Um, so, yeah, that's what I have been up to. Also, I am changing from doing daily videos to videos 3 times per week. Mainly, well, a couple of reasons. One is that to make 7 videos a week, like coming up with ideas and content for 7 days and making sure that those ideas are as helpful and fully fleshed as they can possibly be, takes time. And I think, as especially as I'm still learning the whole YouTube thing, if I reduce the amount that I'm producing, then I can make or spend more time making the videos I do create as helpful as possible. I also want to spend time upskilling and learning more about how to film better videos and editing and all of that kind of thing. And I only have a limited amount of time and energy. So from now on, I'm going to be doing 3 videos per week. I think I'm going to be doing them on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Like, that's when they'll be posted. So yeah, that's that. Let me know what your thoughts are on that. And yeah, please actually do let me know what your thoughts are. So willpower is something I want to talk about because it is a huge factor in whether or not we achieve our goals. And when I'm saying willpower, I'm really just talking about the ability to make a decision or make a plan and then actually follow through with it and execute it. So, yeah, if you don't have willpower or discipline, as some people may call it, or integrity, as some people may call it, then even if you have the best plan, there's no point. It doesn't really matter because you won't be able to follow through with it. Of course, initially you probably will without having that willpower discipline there, because you'll feel motivated, and shit is easy when you've got that motivated feeling, but it quickly wears away, and that's often when we give up. So if you can develop willpower or strengthen the willpower you have, the discipline, the integrity to follow through with your plans, life is amazing and you will be able to follow any plan that you create. And if you're a perfectionist like me, you love creating plans, and part 2 of that is following through with it. So if you can get both of those down, you probably already have the planning down. If you can get the execution down, your dreams will come true. So I'm going to give you a few little tips that I have. It's one of those things you really have to continually practice it. It is kind of like a muscle. Like, if you can be really disciplined and in that habit of following through with your plans, and then it can, if you're not practicing it, it can kind of slip away and you'll fall back into being more impulsive and doing things only when you feel like it. And then, like, that's my experience at least. I can be really disciplined and have a lot of willpower, and then if I get out of the habit of that by not following through with my plans, then it becomes a lot more difficult to follow through with them. So you really have to continually strengthen that muscle. I'm getting really hot. It's been cold in Brisbane. It's winter, but, well, our winter, it doesn't get that cold here. But today's actually hot, and I'm going to move. I have this little fan to keep me cool, because when I talk, I get really like hot because I get so into it. I'm just going to move that a bit closer. So yeah, there are a couple of places I've learned about willpower from. The first is Steve. He is my boyfriend, if you don't know who that is. It's our 10-year anniversary in a week. Yeah, a week. He is the most disciplined person that I know. He is very, very good at following through with plans and sticking to decisions. And I've really admired that about him from when I met him when we were 16. He, of course, isn't perfect and doesn't follow through with his plans 100% of the time, but he is very good at making a commitment to doing something and then doing it. So I really admire that about him and have learned a lot from him about the stuff I'm going to talk about. Also, the other person I've learned this kind of stuff from is Brooke Castillo, who has a podcast called the Life Coach School Podcast. I did a whole video on that podcast because I'm so obsessed with it. But she speaks about this kind of thing a lot, and it really helped me get my mind around it and just see how you can actually create willpower, discipline, integrity, whatever you want to call it, just following through with a plan. So I wrote down a few notes just to make sure that I cover off on everything, but basically it's quite a simple concept. So willpower is making a decision and then following through with it regardless of whether or not you feel like it. So if people talk about it with not having enough willpower when it comes to a diet, the willpower they're wanting is to follow through with their plan to eat healthy. The same with exercise. If you want willpower around your exercise habits, you want to be able to exercise as you planned regardless of whether you feel like it. And so if that is what it is, then it is so important that you make a strong decision. So I find personally that willpower is a lot easier if I have made a real commitment and a strong decision to do something. If I've decided, like, say for example, waking up early, if I'm like, oh yeah, so I'll be like setting my alarm at night and like telling Steve when I'll be waking up. If I say, I think I might wake up at 6, or I say, I'm waking up at 6. The I think I might isn't a strong decision. The I'm waking up at 6 is a strong decision. And if I say, I think I'll wake up at 6, I already feel like it's probably not going to happen. And of course, it doesn't end up happening if I say it like that, because I'm letting myself negotiate my way out of it if I don't feel like it. And because I never really feel like waking up and I always want to just snuggle in bed, I'm much more likely to just snooze, and then my whole day just gets away from me. Because I hate, like, once you sleep in and then you're like, oh, I don't feel productive, and then it just kind of snowballs, at least for me. But if I say, I will wake up at 6, I am much more likely to actually wake up at 6 because I have made a strong decision, and then everything else flows because I've started that momentum with following through with my plans. So it is really, sorry, I'm just reading my notes, what I wrote. Oh, that's the other thing I was going to say. So one way that I have heard this worded that I loved was Tony Robbins says to raise your standards because you get your musts and not your shoulds. So if you're saying to yourself, I should wake up at 6, it probably isn't going to happen. It's like when you run into someone and you're like, oh, we should catch up, and you never end up catching up. But if it's, I must wake up at 6, which is probably what you say, you know, if you've got a flight to catch, or if you're starting a new job or something like that, and you're like, I must wake up at 6, you wake up at 6. And so I love the way that he talks about getting your musts and not your shoulds. And if you want something, you have to make it into a must. We only get our musts. So if you're like, oh, I should eat healthy, I should lose weight, like, just pay attention to how you're speaking about and like the words you use around whatever it is you're trying to create. Because if it's a lot of should and hope and try, you're probably not going to get it, and you've probably been using that language for a long time. But if it's, I'm committed, I must, I will, I am, it will happen. It sounds like it wouldn't make that much difference, but you can feel a difference like in your body. If you say, oh, I should wake up at 6 a.m. I must wake up at 6 a.m. You can tell one of them you're going to wiggle your way out of and one of them you're not. So it's such an important part to make a strong decision. One thing that comes up when it comes to decisions and planning is that some people can feel that they might be restrictive and they like to have flexibility and they like to be spontaneous. I totally get that. Even though I'm a planning person, I get that, like, you don't want to have every minute of your day planned, but the freedom that comes from making plans and following through with them is incredible. And planning, instead of, for example, the gym, and I think I use this example quite a bit because this is what I have found really powerful in my own life when it has come to the gym. I'm in a really good gym habit now, but in the past, if I said, oh, I'm going to go to the gym today, like, I'll go to the gym today, I'll see when I feel like it, that kind of language. Often, so in the morning, I'm like, don't really feel like it. I'll do it after lunch. I have lunch. I'm like, oh, really don't feel like it now. Then it gets to dinner, then I'm too tired, and then it doesn't happen. And then that, as you probably know, just completely snowballs. And I had the flexibility, I had the opportunity to be spontaneous, and the result was that I did nothing. Whereas if I say to myself, I'm going to go to the gym at 4 p.m. to do an upper body strength workout, it frees up my mind the whole morning from thinking, oh, will I go to the gym now? When I go to the gym now? All of that kind of thing. I've made my decision. I am going to the gym at 4 p.m. 4 p.m. comes. Willpower and discipline and integrity is not asking myself, do I feel like it? It's just going. And it's getting used to doing things when you don't feel like it. And that's a skill that we're not taught. Though in a sense we are, because often, you already do that. You go to work when you don't feel like it. You have a shower and brush your teeth when you don't feel like it. There are things we're in the habit of doing and we know how to do even if we don't feel like it. But when it comes to our personal lives and we're the only ones keeping ourselves accountable, it can be a lot more difficult. And that's why this whole willpower, now I have a stutter, discipline, integrity thing is so important. So that is my other point. Do not ask yourself whether or not you feel like it, or use the phrase, I'll see if I feel like it, I'll see when I feel like it, I'll ask so-and-so if they feel like it. Often we don't feel like doing the things that are really going to make a difference in our lives. Those things are usually things that are uncomfortable, that require effort, and all of that kind of thing. And, I love exercising, but I often don't feel like it. This morning was such a good example. I did my 6 a.m. workout that I do on the other side of the city at a place called Integrate. It's a really high intensity workout. I always know it's going to be so hard, and I never am excited to go. I always after it love going and love that I went. But this morning Steve was like, oh, just stay in bed, and I really wanted to, but I had made a commitment to going to myself. I hadn't said to anyone else, I promise I'll be there. I said to myself, I promise I'll be there. And I wanted to live up to that promise to myself, to honor my word to myself, and just practice that. And it didn't matter necessarily whether or not I went to anyone else. I could have gone for a run, and Steve was like, go for a run. But I really want to get in a really amazing habit of following through with my plans. I'm pretty good at it, but I definitely have room for improvement. So as I'm speaking to you about this is something I'm working on, building up that discipline, integrity muscle again. So essentially it's making a strong decision, which often we're not very good at. So as I was saying, if you're using the language, I hope, I try, I'll see what I feel like, maybe later, all this kind of stuff, that is not a strong decision. A strong decision is I'm committed, I will, I am, I must. It's not just semantics, it makes a huge difference. And once you begin to develop this muscle, it will get easier. It's not always such a struggle because you eventually get in the habit of just tuning out that voice that says, I don't feel like it. And I don't know that voice ever completely goes away, but you can definitely learn to be a lot less reactive to it and to follow through with your plans. It's not like discipline where someone else is making you do it. You've made the plan, you've made the decision, and then you follow through with it. And yeah, it's such a game-changing skill, and it just takes practice. And one way you can do this is make really little decisions and then follow through with them. Like, I'm going to brush my teeth at 9 p.m. and then 9 p.m. comes and you brush your teeth. Or I'm going to have a shower. Or just, you can make it the easiest things, but set a time, and then when the time comes, do it. And that all builds up to having this discipline muscle that is so, so, so important. And once you have this down pat, or not even if you're 50% of the way there, you'll start to see that it doesn't matter whether or not you feel motivated, because motivation is so fleeting. And if you stop asking yourself whether you feel like it, it doesn't matter whether you feel like it. And we usually only feel like it if we feel motivated. So it's really the only way I've found to ever stick to anything for more than a week. And as you know, with any habit, once you change your default setting from sleeping in and listening to that voice in your head saying just 5 more minutes to ignoring that voice, then ignoring that voice becomes a habit, and it becomes easier because that's your new default behavior. So it isn't always an uphill battle, but it is something you do continually need to work on, and it can fluctuate and you can always get it back. And I've had times in my life, particularly in the last 2 years, where I have been amazing with follow through. Then I've had times where it has kind of slipped away, and I've felt like it's like I'm making a lot of plans and not following through with them. And you know that feeling, it sucks. And that's what we think we want: flexibility, spontaneity, don't want too much routine. But if you can make a plan and follow through with it, you'll have so much more freedom. Please trust me on that. You probably, if you think back to your life when you have followed through with your plans, you will notice that you probably were a lot more satisfied, and because you had confidence in yourself and you could trust yourself and you knew you'd honor your word. And it's just such a better place to operate from than, oh, I always disappoint myself, I never do what I'm going to say, I never start what I finish. It's huge. This is really huge. So to summarize, make a strong decision using language like I'm committed, I will, I am, I must, not I try, I'll try, not I hope, not I'll see how I feel. Use I will, I am, I'm committed, I must. And then when the time comes, do not ask yourself whether you feel like it. Out of habit, you will probably be saying to yourself, I don't really feel like going to the gym now. I don't really feel like eating healthy. Look at that donut. Oh my God, it looks amazing. Or it doesn't really matter if I just skipped it. Like, you have that already, that's ready. That tape is ready to go, and it might never go away. But what you're trying to develop is not reacting to those voices and that those thoughts in your head, rather than getting rid of them. Like, to be able to go to the gym every day, you don't have to love the gym. You just have to not listen to that voice saying, oh, it doesn't really matter if you skip today. Like, you don't need to have amazing, you don't need to be in love with it. You just need to not listen to those voices. And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, because we are really good at making excuses and wiggling out of the commitments we make to ourselves. So yeah, that's just what I wanted to say about how to develop discipline, willpower, integrity, whatever you want to call it. I hope it's been helpful. If it has, please give this video a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to my channel so you get all my new videos that'll be coming out. And yeah, I'd love to hear in the comments what you think of that, the 3-day week thing versus daily videos, and yeah, or just to, hear what you've been up to. I'd really love to chat. So yeah, I will see you in the next video. Bye.